Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Star Wars: Children of the Jedi by Barbara Hambly. Poisoned rain speared from an acid sky. The hunter scuttled, stumbled a dozen yards before throwing himself under shelter again. A building, he thought, hoped. Though for a second's blinding terror, the curved shape lifted, writhing, into a toothed maw of terror from which the darkness flowed out like the vomited stench of rotting bones. Serpents, tentacles, twisting arms reached down for him with what he would have sworn were tiny cobalt blue hands. But the burning rain was searing holes in his flesh, so he closed his eyes and flung himself among them. Then for a clear moment his mind registered that they were blue-flowered vines. The sane times were fewer and fewer. It was hard to remember from one to the next. There was someone he had to find. He fumbled in the pocket of his coverall and found the dirty sheet of yellow-green flimsiplast on which someone, himself, had written, Han Solo, Ithor, the time of meeting. Have you seen it before? Asked Leia Organa Solo. Leaning one shoulder on the curved oval of the window, Han Solo shook his head. I went to one of the meetings out in deep space, halfway from the pits of Pluma to the galactic rim. All I cared about was sneaking in under the Ithorians' detection screens, handing off about 100 kilos of rock ivory to Grumble the Wart, and getting the hell out of there before the Imperials caught up with me. And it was still the most... I don't know. He made a small gesture, slightly embarrassed, as if Leia had caught him out in a sentimental deed of kindness. Impressive isn't the right word. No. Leia Organa Solo rose from the comm terminal to join her husband, the white silk of her tabard billowing in her wake in a single flawless line. She'd seen the Ithorian star herds gather, the city-huge ships maneuvering among one another's deflector fields with the living ease of a school of shining fish. But watching the meeting here, above the green jungles of Ithor itself, was beautiful beyond words. Slanting torrents of light played on the jungle canopy only meters below the lowest riding cities, sparkled on the stone and plaster and marble, the flashing angled reflections of the anti-grav generators and the tasseled gardens of blue-leaf, tremin, fiddle-headed bull ferns. Bridges stretched from city to city, dozens of linked anti-grav platforms on which thin streams of Ithorians could be seen moving, flower-like in their brilliant robes. Have you seen it before? Han asked. Leia looked up quickly at the man by her side. When I was little, 5, maybe 6 years old, Father came to the time of meeting here to represent the Imperial Senate. He thought it was something I should see. She was silent a moment, remembering the smiling man whom she'd never ceased to think of as her father, Bail Organa, the last prince of the House of Alderaan. Behind Leia, the comm terminal whistled, signaling the receipt of the daily reports from Coruscant. She scrolled through the capsule summaries of minor events, then frowned. Stinadre Sinja Shah was assassinated. Who? She used to teach at the Magrodi Institute. She was one of Nastra Magrodi's pupils. She was Cray Mingla's teacher. Luke's student, Cray? Han came over to her side. The blonde with the legs? Leia elbowed him hard in the ribs. The blonde with the legs happens to be the most brilliant innovator in artificial intelligence to come along in the past decade. Well, Cray's still a blonde, and she's still got legs. Why would anybody assassinate a retired theoretician? Leia pushed her chair away and rose. She was one of McGrody's pupils. So were about 150 other people. Nastra McGrody happened to be teaching at a time when the Emperor was building the Death Star. He and his pupils were the best around. Who else was Palpatine going to hire? They're still saying I was behind McGrody's disappearance, you know. Leia turned to face him. Since that was back before I held any power in the Alliance, they say I got my smuggler friends to kill him and his family and hide the bodies so they were never found. People always say that about rulers. Han's voice was rough with anger, seeing the pain behind the armor of her calm. The awful thing is, said Leia softly, that a day doesn't go by that I don't think about doing it. I have the lists. I know who worked on the Death Star, who Palpatine hired in his think tanks, who taught at the Amwat Orbital Training Center, and I know they're out of the Republic's jurisdiction. But I also know how easy it would be for me to juggle credits and treasury funds and hire certain people to just make my enemies disappear. She sighed, and some of the pain eased from her face. Outside, the movement of wind filled the sky with light and the sound of chimes. Leia smiled. We're on. The herds ingathered, linked to form one great shining city of bright stone, dark wood, flashing glass, exuberant with greenery. An ululation of applause and welcome rippled from the crowd. Ithorians waved scarves and flowers. Your Excellency, Umwamulis, Ithorian liaison to the Senate, dipped her neck and spread her long arms in a graceful gesture of submission and respect. In the name of the herds of Ithor, welcome to the time of meeting. General Solo? Master Skywalker? Behind Leia, Luke inclined his head in response to the greeting. Then she saw her brother swing around as if at some sound, scanning the two-level arcades that flanked the meeting hall of the herd known as Cloud Mother, and she felt at the same moment the terrible sense of danger. Solo! The man sprang from the arcade's upper balcony, landed halfway up the steps, and raced toward them, arms outstretched. Leia had an impression of eyes rolling in madness, flecks of spittle flying from his dirty beard. The Ithorian herd leaders closed on the man, but their reflexes were those of 1,000 generations of herbivores. The attacker was within a foot of Han as Luke stepped forward with no appearance of haste or effort and caught his claw-like fingers, flipping the man in a neat circle and laying him on the pavement. Kill you! Kill you! Gonna kill you all! Solo! Solo! This can't have been anything like a planned attempt, Luke said as the Ithorians carried the man away. I'll follow them to the medical bay and see if I can go into his mind a little, pick up who he is. I know who he is, said Han. Brother and sister regarded him in surprise. If that wasn't a ghost, and it might have been, I'd say it was about 50% of my old buddy Drub McCumb. Children. The man lashed to the diagnostic bed mumbled the word as if lips, tongue, and palate were swollen and numb. They hid the children in the well. Tamla El, chief healer of the herd, spoke to Luke at his side. I am unsure that going into his mind would profit you, Master Skywalker. He's under as much gylocol and hypnocaine as we dare administer. The brain has been severely damaged, and his system is full of massive doses of Yarak. Yarak? Said Luke, startled. Sure explains him being off his rocker, commented Han. I haven't seen Drub in 7 or 8 years, but back when I knew him, he wouldn't so much as sniff Don't Worry, much less go in for that caliber of hallucinogen. Oddly enough, I don't think his condition is attributable to the drug. I believe the Yarak acted as a depressant to the mental activity, permitting brief periods of lucidity. These were found in his pockets. He produced a half-dozen scraps of flimsiplast, stained and creased. Han and Leia stepped close to look over Luke's shoulders as he unfolded them. Han Solo, I thought...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?